Hi everyone, it's Laura from Green & Company, and I'm here today to do May's Creative Maker box. So in your box you've got quite a few pieces, and I'm just going to go over them really quickly, and then we'll divide it up into our different colors so we can start staining. So in your bag you're going to have a little bit of string. We can put that off to the side. You're going to have two sets of circles, and so one set is a spacer, so we're just going to set that up to the side because we won't need it till later. And so we've got two little circles that will go over top of those right there. So we are going to stain those. We are going to stain that piece as well. So that's what we're going to work on first, is staining. Your banner pieces are all stained. These pieces here on your board, if you've got like the interchangeable truck or anything like that, this is your spacer piece, and it will go right there, and this piece will go over top. So this piece we won't do anything with. We will do a little painting on the side after, but we won't need to stain that. So add that one to the pile. Your Home Sweet Home, it is stained, so we will have to tape those pieces in the back. That'll be the easiest way to keep them from breaking, and then you can peel off your tape in the front. The extra pieces that are in there, you can just take them out just to save space. I just set them in there. Some of you might have a hole in your piece. Just ignore that. It just helps me sometimes in the laser. If a piece of wood is kind of warped, it helps me just to keep it closer to the bed of the laser. So you can pop these out. Now these pieces you can keep after to put your heart in, or you can just place it by hand. It's whatever you like, but we'll just set those off to the side since those will be pieces that we will be painting. The heart is also to be stained, so make sure you put enough tape on the back to keep that piece in. Come back in there and do that. Okay. Okay. Oops. All right, so I'm just going to lift those up, pop those out, and okay, so all of these pieces in here will be stained, including the frame. No, yes, we're still doing the frame, even though we are painting it white after with the dry brushing. So we still want to stain it. So we'll do the whole thing there. So you can still separate them because it'll be easier to do the frame. So let's put that off to the side. This piece is the bottom part to your Home Sweet Home. So we will be painting this white. So we'll just set that off to the side right now. And then this is your sign base. So we will be staining this front and back. And then we'll just dry brush the front. Lots of pieces to stain. So we will be staining this piece because that is the background to your personalized name part. We will also be staining the house back, and all of these pieces in here won't need to be stained, so we'll just leave them off to the side for now. Same with this one, nothing in here will be stained, so we'll put that one over there. And then this is your stand piece that we will be staining as well. So you've got that part and your three pieces there. So you'll need those as well. So what I'm going to do is get some stain, and then I'm going to get started with the big piece so I can just get it out of the way. And then I'll set all the other pieces off to the side, and then we'll continue. That way we can let the stain dry for a while and then come back and do the rest. So I'm just going to pause the video for a second, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've got my stain. You guys have a 1/2 ounce container of stain. As you know, a little does go a long way. So I'm just gonna start in the back and get this all stained up first. Remember, you want to keep your surface slightly damp, but not so damp that you can't, that you're wiping lots away and it's like soaking wet. But when you go to wipe it, you want to be able to blend it, because if it's too dry, then it will look very streaky because you won't be able to go like this and even it all out. Okay, so that's all on that side. I'm gonna flip that over and do that again. So this big piece will be the one that takes most of your stain, but make sure you wipe in the direction of the grain there, and just watch as you touch your board that you kind of eliminate any prints that you may put on there. So now you can just set that off to the side, and let me find a spot here. All right, and then we can go in and do the rest. So just go in, grab any piece and just stain them all, and then give them a wipe. So I'm just gonna do this and quit talking and speed this up, because I know you all know how to do this. So I'm not doing all of it here because I'm gonna paint. I'm pretty much painting all of this anyways, but like these parts in this, but I wanted to continue this bottom part here, so I just let it go wherever. I'm not doing the backs. If you have enough stain, you can do the backs, but it's up to you. I would definitely do your front pieces first, especially depending how heavy of a stainer you are. Like I said, a little goes a long way. And you can see that I'm not using, I haven't dipped when I'm doing these smaller pieces, because there's so much stain left on your brush. And and I don't even know if I filled mine up halfway to a 1/2 ounce. I just put some in the bottom of my cup. Just do a little squeeze, but see what I can get out of my brush. Yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it. Okay. Okay, so all my pieces are stained, so I'm gonna set these all off to the side. So the ones that we won't be doing anything else to will be this one and our house. So we're gonna, and our banner pieces. So I'm gonna set them off to the side, and we won't be doing anything else with them at all until we need to sand and do a little painting on there. So I'm just gonna move those. Okay, so the next bit, whoops. Now we're gonna paint over that anyways. So once these are dry, like, oops, this piece too won't need to be done anything with it. So it's best just to clear those out so you don't accidentally paint them later. So once this is dry, we'll end up coming back and dry brushing that one. We'll be dry brushing this piece. We'll be dry brushing the little circles for the top of that holds the banner. We'll be doing this piece that has the circles on it. We will need this piece, but only because when we stack it, we're gonna see a little bit at the side. So we're gonna come in here and just do a little bit on the sides and the bottom, just so it doesn't stick out quite as much, which is what's on my sample at the store. I just forgot till I put it together. And yeah, this piece is pretty much done. Oops, look at that. I missed a piece at the bottom. There we go. Yeah, because you don't want to use too much stain on this. You don't want it to be all slathered and going through the holes, but it doesn't need a whole lot to do this piece. All right, so I'll set that one off to the side too. Yeah, so these pieces will have to come back and do, as well as our big sign piece. So I'm gonna let these dry for a while, and then I will come back and we will continue on with doing all of the white parts as well. And then we'll still do the dry brushing white, and we'll do like the white as well. So, all right, so I'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm back to do the dry brushing. So in your kit, or in your initial box, you'll have a 2-inch brush. So that is what I'm going to use. You guys should have 1 ounce of white paint. So I'm just gonna squeeze on my tray here. It's just easier. So if you have your container, it's easier if you just pour it out onto something, and then go from there. So we're gonna start with the dry brushing. So I'm gonna start and do the big area first, and then I'm gonna work into the little stuff. That way I can get my brush good and primed. So I believe most of you guys have done some sort of dry brushing with me. So as you know, dip your brush in the paint and don't go painting right away. Take that and wipe it all off. So you want some sort of cloth here so you can blend that. And then start with your brush moving and then hit the board. You don't want to just start with your brush on the board. And then just start and kind of put some pressure and let it, you know, pull all that extra paint out of your brush. I tend to go with the wide side, but you'll find a lot of the times I will take it and go with the long way that way, just because I can really work on defining some of the strokes if I don't want them to be too wide. And then I can, once it runs out of paint, I'll tend to blend it and pull. So I'm going to go one way first, and then I usually turn the board around and do it again. But starting with less and building is the best thing, because you can always add, you just can't take it away. You guys are in my, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna turn around because they tend to be heavier one way, like my strokes, so I'm gonna come back and try and even it out. Of course, my board wants to slide, but and while you're at it too, you can always come in here and take your brush and feather some of that out. You're gonna have to go all the way around anyways, and I'm sorry the table's shaking, but it's kind of what happens when I do my dry brushing. It just moves everything. We'll probably have to come down that edge again, just to cover up that dark cut side. And you definitely don't want to press that hard, at least until you know you've got not much in your brush, and then you can really pull on it. Okay, I'm just gonna, it's gonna be hard, so I'm gonna just stand this up. You're not gonna be able to see me do it, but I'm just gonna work around the top and bottom of the board and paint some of that white. I like to do it when I don't have a huge amount of my brush, but when you're doing that, you want to watch, make sure you're not sticking your fingers on the board. Make sure you don't leave any prints. So if you want to do this when it's more dry, you can, but you'll be going around that edge a couple times just to, oops, hit the camera, just to darken it up a bit. And then just keep building till you like the finish. You're gonna have to kind of, as you do each one, just kind of lay it over top after, make sure everything kind of looks the same. You know, you've got, make sure they're all white enough that they look like they blend nicely on your board. Now remember, some of this too is going to be covered up, right? Like this area is mostly going to be, well, like you'll never see it. And I mean, this piece will, depending on which piece you have in there, you'll see a bit more or less. So just watch that so you don't have to, if you're struggling with this area, something's not right. Remember, we won't see it. So I'm just trying to even out this bottom part here. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna leave it for a minute, and then I will come back around the edge, but now I'm going to just come in here and do these other pieces. Now, I haven't sanded anything yet. We just kind of started, because I find when dry brushing, the texture of that roughness from the raising of the grain is just helpful in trying to create those strokes. So you're gonna get dirty. You can wear gloves, but you wanna do those edges first because it's just easier. And then, I mean, you can tape this, but at some point you are gonna have to hold it to get those edges. So, and like I said, you usually will have to come and do those edges a couple times. So whether or not you do it all at once, but once you get into these other ones where you gotta hold it, you will be getting a bit dirty. Okay, I'm gonna just leave those for now, and I'll touch them up some more after. Okay, so this is that one that's hiding. Nope, wrong one. This one is the one that's hiding, but I'm just gonna come in here and go around the edge so it blends a little bit better when it's all put together. So I'm really not adding any more paint to my brush. I'm just pulling what's off the napkin because I really don't want anything, you know, to drip on it or anything be. Okay, there. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna build up to the right layer. So if I get it on initially, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit more paint here. Okay, so I'm just gonna start putting this on and on the front, and then I'm just gonna come in here and I'll probably have finger marks in the front, and I'll have to keep coming in and touching it up, but I would tape it, but because I'm on parchment paper, I can't. So, I mean, if you guys have the ability to put some, you know, strong tape down, like painter's tape or something, well, sometimes the painter's tape isn't strong enough to hold it, especially when you're going at it, like a really strong masking tape, that can help hold that into place. But I can't do that with you guys. So, so you can see where I keep putting my fingers. So I'm just trying to even that out. I'm gonna have to come back and do it again, but it gets the initial color on there. And it's gonna take no time to dry, so, and then I can check it against the board here. So that's how it would look. So I might add a little bit more here in a minute. So now I'm gonna go do this one. Let's add a little bit more paint. Just don't need too much more. Okay, start light. Okay, this piece is driving me crazy. There we go. So even if you have it on tape, you're going to have to take it off at some point to be able to do the sides. Okay, that one's good for now. I'm going to have to come back and do it again anyways. Your frame, you're just going to have to make sure you hold really well, and we're going to have to do inside and outside of the frame as well as all the way around, right? So with your frame, because your grain goes this way, I mean, you could carefully go that way, but you want to make sure your strokes are ending in that same direction. And you can go just initially start, but you really want to pull. And because you're hitting the edge from both sides, you'll tend to get a more defined edge than just these ones that are going around. But we can lighten that a little bit. You just want to make sure it doesn't look totally solid. So definitely do it when your brush has next to nothing, because it'll want to pull out that paint more when it hits the edge. So now that I've loaded my brush, I'm going to do these pieces first, and then I'm going to very carefully okay, so I'm just going to go inside. Okay, so now that you've gone around one, just come up in the front. I'm not loading it again. Just blend anything in case you got a really strong edge somehow that happened when you were doing the inside of the frame. Like I said, we're gonna end up doing this twice in some areas just so it gets as dark as the fronts, but okay, I'm just gonna get that to hold down there. Okay, so I'm just going to come back. While this is just drying, I'm gonna wait that edge for a second. I'm going to come in and just get these guys like I want them. A little bit more. Actually, this side I do. All right, I'm gonna take my brush and go around the edge. See, if you do it once the front is dry, then you don't have to worry about leaving fingerprints on the main part. And then you can hold it flat as long as your hands are not wet with paint. Okay, so that one is definitely better. Let me bring it onto the board. So that's what mine looks like. So the grain on these are going side to side, but the grain is going lengthwise because that's the way the board is. So yeah, so we can see what that looks like. This is what this one would look like. See, I want this one just a little bit more, and I might even do a little bit more on the back first. So let me just set this. I like mine usually to be a bit more, but you won't know what you like until you do it. So just remember, you can't take it back, right? So just start and then see what you like. Okay, I think I'm okay. So as you can see, we did one coat of white, but you can still see it's not quite as white as, you know, everything else. So that's why you're gonna wanna have to come back and do a second one. So I'm just blending the edges right at the second, but I'm gonna wait till it's a little drier so I can handle it a little bit better here. I'm just gonna come in here and touch these ones up again. Okay, and this is that one, that's that support piece. I mean, if you find doing this part with a smaller brush works better for you, then go right ahead. I've got this one dirty, so it's just easier for me to go crazy. But you definitely don't want a good brush, because by the time you're done, this one gets so, you rough it up pretty well. Okay, I'm just gonna come in here and check my sides. So my sides are good on this one, and I think I'm okay with this one. Let's just set this back here. So bring your board. I might just do a little bit more white. I know I'll be sanding the edges on it anyways, and it'll bring out some of that wood tone. But so if I did it now, I'm just going to come back in and blend that, because sometimes it will bring a little paint to the side. So I just want to make sure it doesn't have a white line. Okay, I think I'm better with that. Okay, so this one definitely needs more, because you can see that this one isn't as white as the other one. Gonna blend my edges first, because I really haven't done much on this piece. And then see how it's built up an edge here? That's what it does on the other side if you were doing it the other way. So that's why you just want to make sure you come back after and blend that out. Okay, that's better. All right, now I gotta work on this frame. I'm going to start on the edge first, because I haven't done any on the outside. So definitely make sure it's not too loaded with paint. If it is, then just do it, just lightly go over top. Okay, that's the first coat. And I was going to come in there and blend that. And I'm going to just try and even that out a little bit. And then take my brush and go the other way. So I did say don't go that way, but just don't leave your last strokes going that way, because you definitely want it to go with those lines that you can see in your wood. Okay, so I'm gonna give that a second to dry, and then I can handle it and do both sides again. And then, yeah, I think we're good. Oh yeah, I was gonna come back and do this. So now you can come back and do your edge again. And of course, this part will be off of the camera, so. Yeah, it usually takes about 2 coats to get that, because see, here's that edge that has only 1 coat, and you can see how messy it gets. And so this is the second coat on that other side. So you'll probably have to do 2 coats just to make sure that all blends and looks nice. So if you have to do it in stages, that's fine, but just watch, because now see, I've come back here. Just feather out that edge so you don't have a strong white line. Excuse me guys, hold on. Allergy season. I had a sneeze. Okay, so that one's done. So I'm just gonna set that off to the side. Okay, so these little guys, hold on guys, one more time. At least I'm catching them before they're on the camera. Okay, so yeah, just look at this. This one's all dry, and we'll sand them up after. But I'm pretty happy with that one. This one looks pretty good, so that one's good. And then this one is definitely better. And these little guys, pretty good there too. So now we're gonna just finish that frame. So I'm just gonna send these over here. And I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna do the outs. Well, it doesn't matter what side you're doing first, but I'm just gonna carefully hold the outside. Parchment paper is great, but it tends to slide everywhere. And there's a lot of motion in this video. Okay, so that I'm just gonna give just a moment or two, and then I'm gonna come back and do that second coat on the inside. So I'm just gonna let that sit there. And while that's just drying, I'm just gonna come in and I'm going to get ready to do the extra pieces that are white. Okay, so we'll have to tape this one. So you can leave these green ones in here. Just remember that they're different colors. So I'm actually going to take my knife and I'm just going to score a line. Oh, hold on. Having a moment. Tape it in first. Now, if you're finding the back of your ones with adhesive to be pretty bad, they have been lately. I got to get my machine cleaned. You can always take a baby wipe and just wipe all that extra char off if you don't want to get your hands dirty. And I normally wouldn't do this, but you know, depending on what we're doing. Like this one after, like this one's not too bad for me. Oh, actually I might have wiped it already. But I'm using this one to go on top of a white one. So if you don't want to make sure there's any residue going on your white side, then you might want to wipe the back. But it's not necessary. I mean, I rarely do it, but just an idea there. Okay, now go and take these off. Okay, so this one's got a little char here for me only because when it's cutting, there's probably extra glue in the wood, so it tends to flare up. So covering that with paint can take me a little longer. So if I come in here and just sand that extra burnt area away, then it'll cover just a little easier. So that one is ready to go. So keeping the tape there kind of tells your brain, oh, don't paint that. So we'll be doing that one white. We will need this sign and we'll do that one white. And we're gonna come in here in a second and we're gonna do, no, we're not gonna do it now. We're gonna do it later because once we're done and these are all glued together, then we can always, like when we paint this, usually you'll get some on the edge and you'll wipe it off. So instead of wiping it off, you can use your brush and blend it. And then eventually when these are together, we can make sure they both look the same. Okay, so that one will be white too. And then you have your 4 little hearts from the banner that sit in the middle of the wreath. Those will be done in white as well. So you'll want to make a spot and tape those. We've got a few different pieces that you're gonna probably want to tape because we'll have to take them out of that template. So I'm going to just run a piece of tape here. I think you guys can see that in the camera. Yeah, you can. Okay, so I'm gonna tape these ones here. Okay, and I'm just gonna pull this over here. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna move that for a second. This is dry, so I'm just gonna come in here now and finish this. And then I can change brushes. Okay, so that's done, and just again, check your edges, make sure if you are feathering paint that you don't have an extra lip, but that looks pretty good, and they all look to be, you know, pretty close to the same, so I'm fine with those. So if you have a place to put your stuff, then I would say move that one off to the side, and then that way we can go at it with the other color. So I'm not washing my brush right yet, just in case I feel like I need it. So this is the bag that I had that easel stand in, so you can always just stick your brush in there for the time being. And now we're gonna pull out the rest of the pieces. Okay, so for the extra white pieces, I would suggest just take this all apart, and then you can divide it up. Just make careful when you're pulling that tape off that you don't lose the little doorknob in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull that. So that is a dark color, so I'm gonna just set it off to the side. Actually, I'm gonna put my roof with it, so I've got something with it. The hearts, there's gonna be 3 of them in here. Four. Yeah, 4 hearts. They are also white, so I'm just gonna set them on there. These are the fronts to your little shrubs, so you'll need those to be green. Your window is white. Just like this, this is for your door, so it should be the same size as the one, actually it's just a tiny bit smaller, so if you happen to get them confused with the ones for your little banners, it's just a little bit smaller. And okay, so that's there. The door will be painted in Inglenook, so let's move that over there. Shrubs, that's green, that's garbage, this is white. All right, these pieces are blue. 2 more window pieces that are white. Another shrub. All these little bits and pieces from your window can just go in the garbage. And then you've got the welcome word, which is also white. So you could tape it in the back of here if you wish to, or you can just put it on your tape, whatever you are comfortable with, but you could definitely tape it into here and paint it there as well. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second and go get rid of this garbage. Okay, so now we need to get all your pieces ready. So this time you're gonna have your sponge, and I would recommend a small brush for here because it will be helpful to paint this edge, or at least to even out any paint that comes over that edge. So grab your paint again, and I'm just gonna start and do this one. I'm just going to get some on my brush, and I'm just going to start not at the edge and then lay the paint and then come back, go from one side to the other to even it out. Now I'm not being too fussy around the edge here and get full coverage, because remember that frame is going to cover up some of it, so you can kind of be a little less precise. But if you want to make sure and check that you've gone far enough, you can grab your frame and set it over top and see, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good if you've missed those areas. So that's, you can check that after. I'm just going to take my brush that has a little bit of paint, and I'm just going to kind of feather it in here. Now I'm not going to necessarily do all sides right now. See, my board is dirty. Well, it's not dirty. When you go to do that, because this edge seems to be a little dirtier, remember, we'll still cover it up. So I'm just gonna, so where before we may have created a white edge because we're coming along here, remember, we won't see that this time. So this one's a little bit more forgiving, but we're painting it fully white, not dry brushing the inside. So that's the only difference there, but we do want to feather the edges as well. So let that dry. And if you got that bag handy, you can stick your brush in there for now. And then we will come in here and grab some of your paint, blot that off, and then come in here and then gently paint out your pieces, which I know you all know how to do. So I will just speed this part up instead of listening to me talk. Okay, that's coat number 1. And in the meantime, this is still just a little wet, not much. So I'm just gonna go away for just a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and we will go at these second coats again. Most likely you'll need 3. If I had my roller out here, we have little 2-inch foam rollers. If I had that one, then that would be really easy, except I forgot to pull mine out of the freezer. So I'm just using my brush. Yeah, I'll come back in just a couple minutes when this is dry, and then we'll get it sanded and get those finished up. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. I'm back. Decided to go wash my hands in the meantime. So this is drier, and I'm just going to give it a light sand now. Okay, so now if you use your hand, it should feel buttery smooth, and then you can go ahead and do your additional coats. I'm going to come in over here and just gently run my sandpaper. I don't want to lift them off. Sometimes when I lift them off, then they don't stick as well. And this one, I'm going to come in here and push on these little letters and make sure I haven't got this all stuck. Because the longer it sits in there, the harder it is for them to come up. So I'm going to give this a sand. And then I'm going to do it again. All right, and make sure there's no dust in there. All right, hold on guys, it's gonna move these. Okay, so I'm gonna do this again. Grab your brush, make sure you've got enough paint out, and do it again. If you grab like an edge, because remember on this particular one we're gonna be hiding those corners, so I'm just gonna paint it the rest on the parchment, just because the amount of paint that I had a little bit of a lip. So you can still come in here and feather any extra paint you have here. Just remember, you don't want to take it into the middle, just kind of feather within that frame area, just so if you do get a heavier lip, that it won't affect your frame sticking to this sign. So this is 2 coats. Once it dries, I will do a third, because that's how I like mine. And then I'm going to come back here and do these again. Okay, so those ones are done. I'm going to walk away again, and then I'll come back in a few minutes when this one is dry, and we'll just repeat it again, and then that will be done, and then we'll just have the other 3 colors to do. All right, so I'll see you shortly. Okay, last coat, guys. This is dry, so I'm going to give it a quick sand. Now, I don't necessarily want to go too much more on the edge, so where's my frame? Over here. So you can see when I put them together. So if I do, when I put them together and they're not even, like in color, then I will just take my brush and do them together. So I'm just gonna try not to do too much on that edge if I can help it, but sometimes it's hard to avoid that. So all right, so a little bit more paint. If you're happy with the color in your back, you don't have to do 3, but I like 3, so I do nice thin even coats, and well, for me 3 is what I want. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to gently just try and even out this. Yeah, see, it's fine. It is what it is. I think the first one I did was with my roller, which means that I can avoid the sides altogether, and then I can just come in and brush them. So that's fine. It is what it is. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure I don't have any extra here. Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna leave that one to dry. Stick my brush away. And then I'm gonna finish up. These need just a little sanding, not much. Now remember, wiggle those letters. If you can't finish it all at once, then you're gonna be gone for a while. Definitely give them a wiggle and even pull them out of the template, just so you know that they're not going to dry in there. I'm not gonna sand these other ones, they're fine. All right, so I'm gonna be off the camera. Hold on, guys. There we go. And once again, I like to do 3 on here, so if you are fine and you know your coverage is good, but you didn't go crazy doing it. Whoops, my phone is doing all sorts of things. There we go. Okay, so that is there. And because I'm doing this in the evening, I probably won't be doing any more tonight. So I will probably, as soon as this is dry, I'll pull the tape off the back and pop those out, so I know that they won't be stuck in there, regardless of how much paint I know I've done on there. The ones with the stain, they're fine. They can stay on there. Your stain's not gonna stick, make them get caught in there. So don't worry about that one, but I would definitely pull out your letters, and ones sitting on the tape here are fine too. So I'm just gonna let all this dry, and then For me, will be tomorrow, and I will come back and we'll get the darker color and then the olive and inglenook done, and then we'll get it all put together. All right, so I will see you later. Okay, thanks guys, bye. Hey guys, I'm back now, and so we're going to start working on the other colors. So what I've done just before coming back on is I sanded all my pieces, so I didn't have to do that on the camera. So I've sanded, everything's nice and smooth and wiped clean. So you can do that as well before we go painting onto the next part, because we're gonna do some painting on these, but I just sanded everything that I've done so far. All my stain pieces, all my white pieces, all my dry brush pieces, so that was done. So right now let's start working on, let's see, I'm gonna do the, I'm gonna do cast iron, which is the black one, because I want my piece to be a little bit bigger as I do this area. And then don't forget you have that little tiny dot. So I'm just gonna set mine off to the side there. And I'm going to grab my color. If you're ever looking for little trays like this for painting to dump your paint on, I just got these at like the wholesale club. We're in Lethbridge here, so that's where I got mine, and they're really inexpensive, so they're really nice. So I'm just actually, I don't even need to blot any off. Because I'm working on a bigger area, I can kind of start in the middle and work that extra stuff that I was going to blot off. And then that way I don't have to waste any paint. Okay, so I'll set that one there, and then I'll do this little dot off to the side. That's the only one there. I don't have any extra small pieces of sponge, so I'm just going to grab another one. But if you've got some small pieces, that's what this is really good for, is you can take those small pieces to do all of these other two colors. Or you can just wait till you're done with your black and then move on to the next one. So I'm going to do, let's just grab, yeah, let's just grab inglenook here. So we'll be doing the blue. So we'll need the top of the pots. We'll be doing the pot bottom here. And if you don't want to get any paint on that little bit that's going to go into the slot, and you want to keep that nice and clean, then you can just run a piece of tape right there, and then just run your nail over it to kind of seal that tape. You can do that on the other side too. And I'm gonna put a little green on here, just because sometimes when you're lining them up, they can see a little bit of the raw wood sometimes. So I'm just gonna put tape there so I don't have to worry about hitting the green after. Okay, so we have the bottom of the pots here. You're just gonna have to be careful. You don't have to go right up into the stem because these will cover it, so we can kind of go right up, but you can always tape there if you want to. So we've got the door, the bottom of the pots, and that's it. All right, so I'm gonna grab my other color. And same thing. This one I'm gonna blot off just a little bit. And I'm just gonna come in here, start at the bottom, and then get as close to that top as I can. And then same thing. Okay, and then with these, I'm just gonna put on my tape over here so I don't have to get my hands all dirty again. So I hope you can, oh yeah, you can kind of see me doing that. All right, so those ones are there. And then these ones on the door, same thing, but if you get some paint in those lines, so if you do very lightly, you should be able to keep those lines clean. You don't want to squish too much, you're just lightly tapping. But if you get any, just take an X-Acto knife and clean that out. All right, so I'm going to set that there. This is pretty much dry, it'll work. So I'm just going to give it a sand. And I'm just going to gently sand that one. All right, and then I'm going to finish these. Okay, so that one's done, and I'm just going to tap that one, and that one's done. Okay, so I'm going to give that blue just a little bit longer, and I'm just going to cut this one off. And then I'm going to work on my green. Okay, so with the green, we'll do a little bit on here. Actually, you know what I should have done? I knew I should have stained all that. So if you forgot, just like me, because I did stain all this last time, you're just going to want to go grab a Q-tip and put a little stain on that stem there, because I forgot to go up high enough to do that. So just go and do that, unless you stain the whole thing. Then you'll be fine. So I'm just going to pause for a second. Yeah, Q-tips are really great if you just need to do like a tiny area and you don't want to get your whole brush out and have to wash it. So just tap that on there. Just gonna wipe some of that off. I'm just going to go in here. I'm just going to make sure these ones, there, just like that. See, even I forget to do things sometimes. All right, so those ones are done, and you know what? These are probably dry now that I had to go do that. So I'm just gonna give these a quick sand. There, there, and there. Okay, so let's finish up this color. There, and I might have enough on here to do this. Okay, so those ones are done. I'm just gonna pull my tape off, so now your edge is nice and clean. I'm just gonna set that one there for a second while we start on the rest of the green. Okay, so you've got the bigger green wreath for the banner, so that's one set there. Then you will have the smaller one for the door. See, it's just a little bit smaller. And then you've got your 4 shrub tops here, and then you've got the ones here, and then we have these ones here we have to do. Okay, so grab your olive. Now, I mean, if you don't want to do these colors, like this blue or this green, and you've got other colors, you're more than welcome to change it. This is just what I like, and my colors might not be your colors. So I'm just going to take my bigger one that I chopped off here, and I can start here. Take these off, move this for a second, and I'm going to do these ones off over here. And let's see if I've got some room. Let's pull that one. I mean, I could hold them, but you know what? I don't want a whole bunch of paint on my hands today. Okay, and then we can come in here and do this. So remember, watch your little, I'm just kind of doing the edges. I don't have to fully do that one, but, and I don't want to just paint over the stem I did. you know what, I think in my initial one, I may have done all of that green, but I think after the fact, it's like, oh, I should have stained that. So if you want to do them green, that's fine. Oh, I'm just gonna come over here and finish this one. Okay, so I probably won't do any more green on these ones because I've just done what I needed to do. Okay, so I'm gonna let those dry, and did I get them all? Yes, okay, so let's set this one here. I'm gonna come back here. See, those ones are already dry. All right, and depending on how long you've done that for, just give them a wiggle, make sure you can get them out of there, and then just do it again. And 2 coats should be all you need on this color. Okay, so those ones are done. And okay, I'm just gonna leave these ones out. Like I said, I'm not gonna do them again because they don't need it. Gently pull your sandpaper over that, and then you can do these again. Okay, so just like that, those colors are done. So I'm gonna give these a little bit of time to dry. Like, they're dry already, but I want to let this one sit a bit longer because I don't like to sand my blacks right away. But I'm gonna at least give this half an hour or so to just really dry well, and then I'll come back and we can start to put things together. But in the meantime, if you haven't sanded any of your pieces, you know, make sure you sand everything. And yeah, we'll get it together. All right, we'll see you in a bit, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back, and we're just gonna get this done. So I'm just going to carefully sand this because I don't want to dull my black, but I just want to distress the edges at the moment because I haven't let it sit as long as I would like. Okay, so that works for me. I'm just gonna wipe that clean. Oops, a little bit more over here. Okay, get this all cleaned up. All right, so let's get working on this part. Get it out of the way. So I'm just gonna quickly sand these. And then we need these pieces. And this. I'm vigorous on the edges because I really want to wear down the door. I wanted to distress it a bit. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just take your sandpaper and smooth out the paint. Okay, so I'm just going to start with this piece, and I'll sand some of those extra pieces as I get to them. So just take your adhesive, peel it off, line it up. Yeah, I'm only sanding this because I had a dud and I had a little extra on the edge there from the machine. Oh, jeez. All right, let me do this again. Okay, press it into place. Now with the door, okay, you know what? Don't put the door on yet. I'm just gonna leave it, well, I'll just stick this on so I won't forget. Because if you put your door too low, then sometimes it will keep this part up a little bit. So I want to get that it in the slot first, and then we'll put the door on. So just leave that and the little doorknob off to the side there. However, we will do everything else. So I'm gonna grab my windows. Okay. So just make sure you have your lines going up and down. And then just center it on that score mark. So you really shouldn't see any of the score line. It's just more for placement. I'm not gonna press that one in yet. So yeah, and then you can always look at it from both sides. See, now if I lift this up at this angle, I can see that I'm not all the way down. So you definitely want to come at it and look at it from all directions, and then you can tell whether or not you've completely covered that score line. So I will sand this one, but I'm going to do it once I get it on here, just because it's so fragile that I don't want to put any extra pressure on it. If it was in a template, then yes, I would sand it, but it's not at the moment, so. And then just as you're pulling that back off, just hold it where you're pulling so you won't snap it. And then same too, just lay it on top and then lift it up and see right down here, I can see I haven't fully covered. And just make sure you've got it in place. It doesn't give you a whole lot of room to maneuver that, but you should be able to do it without it being seen. Okay, so this piece still needs the shrubs, and we're gonna leave the wreath on the door till after. I mean, had I not pulled the back off, then, you know, I could do the wreath right now, but I can do it after. It's not a big deal. Okay, so I'm just going to lay these on here. Pretty much, there's like a little notch here that sticks out here that I notice is pretty prominent in all of them, so that's just what I'm looking for as I line those up. Okay, so that one. So the bottom ones will fit exactly. The top ones are just slightly bigger, and it's not like these are any different size. That's just how it's going to be. So you're not doing anything wrong if you're noticing the top ones aren't fitting the same. But you can kind of just center it over it. Okay, and then I didn't put these ones on yet, so I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so now you're looking for the hearts that are, so I'm gonna come in here and just get this, are the smaller ones, because that's what these ones are. So these ones will go here, and then one goes on the chimney, and the other one will be for that wreath. So keep that together, and then find that small guide, and we'll put that there with it so we can put it together later. Okay, so that one is done for now. So I'm just gonna set it off to the side, and then you can grab this one, and I'm just gonna give these a quick sand while they're in here. And then pop that tape off. There we go. All right, so line it up. And then you can, it doesn't matter what you do first, if you want to do the letters first or the greenery, it doesn't matter. You'll find this will come off easier if you pull with the leaves rather than against, otherwise it'll just keep tearing. And so make sure, just set it in there, and then make sure you're nicely lined up. And then just press it into place, and then do the same on this side, because it could just shift a little bit. So just lay it in there, make sure it's still where it's supposed to be, and then give that a press. And then do the same for the, and then just keep adding your other pieces. Okay, so that one is done. So you can set that one off to the side. And then the last thing we have to do is this other sign. Okay, so I've sanded this. I've sanded this as well. So these are stuck with adhesive. So what I like to do is have this one close by, because I'll just set this one over top. But sometimes if you pinch too hard, you'll squish the frame, and then this one won't fit in there. So hold on, I'm just going to cut this extra tape off. Okay, so I'm just going to set this in there, so that way when I line this up, I know this piece will go in there. Okay, so I'm going to press that into place and get rid of this for a second. Now, see, mine edges are nice and they look pretty good. They look pretty even. So if you need to add any extra paint lightly, you can always take a small brush and do that, but I'm fine with that. So now I'm going to remove all of these pieces. Just be careful when you pull the tape off, you don't lose some of the sweet. Here, mine's not coming out very well because I had to recut one for this area. So, okay, so set that in there. And then you can just start adding those pieces. Same like the other scripted ones, just be very careful as you remove that. Now my home one here might give me some problems. Oh, no, we're good. Okay, and then just pull that off. Make sure that's all good. Okay, so that piece is done. So now, I'm just gonna clear some area here, guys. Hold on a sec. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up with these, and then we can work on the main part. Okay, so, what am I looking for? These guys. Okay, so if you're looking to make sure, you can either, if this is too frustrating, you can either figure out, I don't remember if I just decided to skip this part, because I have to come by and figure out where this goes. It should be pretty easy to spot this one piece, but now, I don't know, guys. Hold on, I think I gave up. Well, it actually might help if I turn it around. There we go. So you could just either figure out, or you can just say, you know, because if you can see here, some of the, like there's one here that has that little berry dot right there. It will line up on those score marks, and then it'll cover it up. So if you get that right, then you should be fine. And then you can add that little piece in there after if you want to do your hearts that way. So take it off, look for this little, see there's a couple berry dots, but this one's pretty prominent, and then it kind of matches up with the shape of the leaf on top. But and then just once again, just look very carefully, because if you've got it right, you shouldn't see, hold on, I need to get it closer to me, guys. My eyes are not like they used to be. Yeah, and so then just press it into place. And so then after, you can stick this in here. If you have the heart in the right up and down, then it should be easy to stick that in there. So I'm just gonna do this one, and then I'm gonna just speed up and do the other three really fast. So then you can stick this one in here, and then pop that out, just like that. Okay, so I'll do the other ones real quick. See what I did there? I accidentally peeled the back to that, so just make sure you don't get it stuck in there like I just did. There we go. Don't peel the back. Don't be like me. Okay, so those ones are done. Okay, so next we can do the string. So if you have a hard time feeding it through the loop, through the holes, I'm going to start from the back. I kind of twist as I pull it through, like spin, well not twist, well yeah, spin it. That kind of helps. You can always put a piece of tape at the end of one. That always helps as well. But right now I'm getting them, just getting them on there. I might have to shift them around and stuff. So, whoops. So you want to go from the back. If it's too frayed, you could always give it a little bit of a trim, but you don't want to really cut off too much. Okay, so that's done. It's fairly even on there, but we will attach it after we get the other part done. And I will come back shortly and we'll do that. Hey guys, I'm back and we're going to do the stand part first. Only this part, but we're gonna need this part. So, so make sure that this is your top, this is your bottom, and flip it over so you are putting it on the correct way. So when we're doing this one, this piece will go up like that because when it opens, that notch will allow that piece to go in there. So what we're going to want to do is we want to center this. Now you're going to need some tape, and I couldn't put, normally I could put that little score pattern on there, but because I can only do one side and not the other, then we got to figure this out. So line this piece up at the bottom. It doesn't have to be centered right now. Just line it up so it's even with the base. And let's just put some tape in this general area right now. Okay, we may have to add more tape, but it gets us a start. So right now we need to divide this board in half. Now, gonna start at 1. So this board is 9.5. I think that's what I did, 9.5. So we're at 4 3/4. So I'm starting at 1, so I need to be at 5 3/4. So don't let that mess you up here. So we need 4 3/4. So if I put my tape measure right at the beginning here, then I'm at 4 3/4. But sometimes that end is not a true 1 inch, so that's why I usually will start at 1. And go from there. So right there, is my half. Now, line this back up again and kind of center. If you have a pencil, you could use a pencil too. That way you could always erase it if you wanted to. Now, these pieces right here have to be in this area here. So, we need to have an idea where this is going. So I'm just going to draw some lines on my tape. But my tape isn't quite far enough because I really don't want to put pen on here. So I'm just going to continue my tape on both sides. You could do that, or here, okay, another solution is you could just divide this guy in half too. So, where's my tape measure? This one I do not know the measurement of the piece. So this one is 2 1/4. So 2 1/4 is 1 1/8. So 1 1/8 is right here. So you can have that on there as well. So as long as you know where these notches are, like if you had a little marking here, I'm just gonna do it here. So I've taken this and I've made little notches where the center of these are. If I come back here, first of all, we can center it here, and then I'm gonna bring these down so they're in the center of here. So that's what I'm gonna do. So make sure you know where you're going. Now obviously the tape's in the way, right? So I'm just going to, this pen isn't very good. Let's try that again. You definitely want to make sure it's straight. So just make sure, even though these are matching, just make sure you haven't twisted this piece. So make sure it's, pretty straight. So I'm just going to make some markings there, and I'm just going to do a little dot up here so I can take this off. So now if I roll this back. I mean, the fact that my tape is holding this piece in place, that could be helpful for you too. But you're gonna need your glue. Just throw some on the back of this. Now, if you didn't know this already, we have added these bottles to the website. So if you want something like this to be able to have a small applicator for your glue, we've got them empty, or we've got a few that we can fill with the glue that we use, but they are on the website and you can order them. Okay, so I've got some glue there. Now I'm just going to flip it back over, kind of make sure you've got it lined up with your little hole. And I'm just going to double check. I'm going to set this in here. And if I have to do any tweaking, you got to do it really quick so that way you can still maneuver your piece. But these notches are here because remember, we got to put those other little pieces in there. Like these pieces will go in there, but we can't do it right now because we got to go do the other side. And if we do these now, then they'll just get in the way. So if we at least do this part and we can work on it when it's totally flat, that will be easier. So I'm just going to leave my tape there for now, but there, that part is on. So now we can flip this over and remove those for now. I know, it would be easier if I could just put a score mark, but I can't, guys. So you got to kind of do a little measuring. Okay, so this part, let's grab all our pieces. Okay, so this piece here will fit in that scored area there. This piece will fit in this one, and that big sign will go here. But let's start with the top one. This one will be peeling and sticking. If your adhesive wants to peel with it, then just give it a rub. If it ever just wants to come off, remember, you can just use glue to attach it, but there we go. Sometimes, no matter how much I rub the adhesive on there, it still wants to peel off, so. There we go. Okay, so just hover that over top. Make sure it looks straight, but then remember, you're going to cover those score marks. You shouldn't see them at all, but definitely make sure your line is straight up at the top so it looks even there. Okay. And then give it a press into place. Now the next part comes these little pieces. Now they will fit inside there and you'll see the score marks, but that's only because it's going to help you put those on there, and once you put these on, you're never going to see it. So these ones we have to glue. So just add a little bit of glue and set it in there. Same with that one. And then just give it a press. And we're just going to leave those to dry for a minute. So just leave those and then we'll move on to this piece. So this piece can also stick with adhesive. Yeah, let's push this up so you can see a little easier. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to, you can see you got a little bit of room there to just cover that up, but do your best to keep it pretty straight. So just bring it up there like that. If you need a better visual as to whether or not it's straight or not, because sometimes it's hard when these lines are going this way, is just bring this up and line it up just with the top of the score mark, and then you can kind of see the distance and to see if it looks good enough for you. So you want to make sure that looks good. Yeah. Okay, so give it a press. Now we can, well, we're waiting for those to dry. For the most part, mine are probably are, but your guys' glue might not be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this one. Now I can see it's gonna give me a problem, so I'm just gonna give this a rub. If you have a credit card, you could do that or whatever. I just don't have anything around me at the moment, and I just don't want to stop the video, so I'm just slowly doing that. And if you get frustrated and you just want to pull it really hard and it all comes off, well, you can glue it too, that's fine, but just be patient. Sometimes I don't know why these bigger areas want to come off and sometimes they don't. Okay, so same thing with this area. This part is set in there so you can line it up easier. Now, sometimes I find if I could just, I get it centered between the both sides because I can see where it's supposed to go, and then I just gently creep over that line so that way I know that it's within the right area. Okay, and this side just needs to go a little bit to the left. There. Okay, and then give that a press into place. Okay, so by now these should be dry. And so I'm very particular when it comes to this. So I'm looking for my lines in my circles to go side to side because that's what this is doing. I find if I go, you know, any weird direction, it just looks off. So if you pay attention to that detail, then it kind of just looks a little bit more natural. So I'm just gonna stick a little glue on this part because I don't need to use glue on the whole back of the bigger circle. I only need enough to make contact on that part. So if you're like me, find those lines in the wood and just go from side to side. Now it's sometimes really hard to see where your circle is, but make sure you're centering it this way so it looks like it's even. And you might not get it dead center of the circle at the bottom, but if you press on it and you make some sort of contact in that general area, you should be fine. Okay, so we're gonna let that one sit just a bit longer, and then we're gonna go down to this one. So this one we have to glue because we don't want any glue on here because we're moving pieces in and out. So same thing, we're going to take some glue. Add it there and then press this into place. And make sure it's even at the sides and at the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to give that a few minutes before I even attempt to put anything inside because you don't want there to be any glue that is squeezed out and then you aren't able to get those pieces out. So same thing here, and I'm sure these will be dry in a second, but once this is dry, then you can tie this around on there, and then we'll be able to finish this one. So what we'll do is we're gonna set this in here. I'm gonna give it a minute. Just make sure that you don't, oopsie, I just did that, just didn't want to. When you're putting pressure, might have to add a little bit more glue. When you're putting pressure, try not to put pressure on the part that is where the gap is, because if you push it down too far, you might not be able to slide this in after. So you wanna make sure you're just putting pressure on this area where we put the glue so you don't tip that part in. All right, so I'm just gonna give it a little bit, and then once that's dry, I'll come back and we'll finish this part up and then we'll be done. Oh, then I'll show you how to finish the backs as well. So, okay, see you in a minute. Okay, so that should be dry for me. I'm still gonna be careful, but I'm just gonna gently push this in here, just long enough to do my door. I only do this because last time I didn't get it exactly. So as you can see, if I put it right down to the bottom, it's not going to be high enough, but that's the whole goal. I wanted to make sure we weren't too low. So look for your score marks and get it on there and you should be fine. All right, so press that into place. I'm gonna just move this for a second and then I can finish my door. So same thing on this. However, there is no guide for your wreath. So if you want, you can either keep doing this till you figure out where it is, or you can just give up and just set it in there. There we go. So you could always have that like that there and figure out where you want it, and then just lift it up and keep it in that general direction. Should be okay. I'm just gonna set that there where I think it is, and I'm not gonna press on it because that should be right there. Okay, so now I'm just gonna be able to move it a little bit better. Okay, I think that's good. I'm still not going to press on it for just a moment. I'm going to stick this one in there too. And yeah, I think we're okay. I'm just going to give that a press. Oh, come on. There we go. And then just tap that out there. Okay. There, and then if you haven't lost this little piece, then it can go right there. If for some reason you lose your little dot, you can always just come in there and put a little black. If you've got a black paint pen or even a black marker would work if for some reason you lose this little dot. So then you can always come in here with a paint pen and you can add some like squiggle lines, or you know, I did that on the original piece. I'm just not going to do it in the video. You can come in there and do all those little lines if you want to, but that piece is done. And then we're going to go back and we're going to flip this over and we're going to finish this up. Okay, so you're going to want to take some glue, and this is where this bottle becomes really handy, because we want to get some glue in this area and then put some at the side of this piece. And then I'm just putting my bad side in, just the part that is a little dirtier from the bottom of the machine, and then I let it hit that corner and then push in and let it stand. So once it has a moment to dry, then we can shift this one in, or what's really nice about her design is that you could set these in, and because she's made these so long, you'll be able to shift and put it in without actually having to attach it to these pieces. So put it just up against that edge, and then on the side where it's going to make contact, and then I know a bunch of you have already done these before, so and then just really give it a good press and then make sure it has a chance to dry, and then we'll shove that in a second. But other than that, everything else will just interchange. So this piece is part of the interchangeable truck. So at some point, if you would prefer it to be in an interchangeable truck, if you have one already, or there's the breadboard, or there's also the round sign, and it has, hold on a second. It has this piece to it and the license plate piece to it. you could always message me, and we can do up a custom little piece if you want to add those on. I might eventually put this piece as a kit in our blanks, and then maybe have the option just to purchase these two for those who already have this piece. There's the chance that I might just do that. It just might take me a bit before I can get that done. Anyway, so now that that is done, I'm sure it's still dry. I'm still going to be very careful because it could, if I bump it too hard, it might just pop out. But I slid one arm in, and then I'm just lining it up on the other side. And then when you open it up, it's ready to go. So I'm just still gonna let it sit because I can still see the glue is a little wet over there. But when you flip this over, depending how long you want it to, how low you want it to hang, you can just, tie, a knot. And if you want to tie it right tight to it, you can. If you want to kind of tie it so you're able to slide it off all the time, that's up to you. But either way, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to gently flip this over. No, I better leave it. I'm just going to leave it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I kind of wanted to give you guys that personalized touch for this particular box. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next month's. I already have the project picked out, and I think you guys will really like it. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to mention one more thing. Hold on a second. Even though this is kind of still wet for me, because I did forget. Okay, so this piece obviously goes in there. We've sent you 2 little tiny Velcro dots. So if you want, just because wood does what it wants, and it all depends on your home and humidity and so forth. So if this little piece tends to want to like bow a little bit or warp, then you could always take those 2 little Velcro dots and stick them here, so it just helps keep this a little bit closer to the board, especially if you want to keep it a bit more permanent and stick this in a truck or something like that. But this one's short enough that it doesn't necessarily need it, but this one's just a little bit bigger. And yeah, so you have that option there. You don't have to use them. You may never need to use them, but we did send them along so that way you've got them just in case. Okay? All right. Now, goodbye. Have a good day, guys. Bye.